Hello, Exia here. Today we're going to do a tier list of decks going into set 4. There are some new decks introduced into the set, but a lot of decks are getting, a lot of existing decks are getting support from this set. From the last tier video, I did decide to cut pay bills instead because I feel like it's a pointless tier moving forward. So anything that's not tier 2 or above will just go into Rogue. Also, again, the decks will not be in any specific order respective to their tiers. So let's say, whatever decks are in the Rogue tier, just because I place them on top of Rogue doesn't mean they are on top of Rogue necessarily. It just so happens that when I place the decks, going from this order. So with that being said, let's get started. Rune, D-Shift Rune, did get some direct, some indirect support from this set because D-Shift and Giant Chimera happen to require hitting a specific amount of spell chain to get to your win condition, and Daria is still a card in this set that'll help get you to those spell chain count. So, D-Shift did get some improvement on that aspect. However, my issue with D-Shift is it still you still requires like a really good pilot to really find success with this deck because of how the deck has to play. And with the current card pool we have from set 4, I don't think it's quite enough to push it over the edge just yet. So I'm gonna place D-Shift in Rogue for now. Could go up to tier 2, but for now I think Rogue is where D-Shift will go. Next is Amulet Heal Haven. So not really a new deck per se, but it did get quite a bit of support. So Kaguya is still a great card for this deck. You are gonna be healing a lot with this deck. Hence the name. However, I think it might get out aggroed by some decks here if you don't get going. But if you do get your healing going, it's amazing. However, that being said, I still don't think it's that reliable of a strategy as of right now. If I'm wrong on this, I'll take it. But for now, I don't think it's anything past Rogue. Could also go up to tier 2. Could be another one of those situations where I'm not putting enough respect on the deck, but we'll see. Next is Jabberwock Dragon. So the strategy for Jabberwock is you wanna build your deck to either have mainly 2 cost or 3 cost followers to pitch for Jabberwock effect to get to your high cost bombs like Genesis Dragon, Hishi Akebono. We did get Israfil, so Israfil could also be a target as well. If you get going with Jabberwock, you're still gonna smack for a lot of damage. And if it's high rolly. However, if you don't get going with Jabberwock, the deck could maybe serviceable at best, a brick at a worst. So yeah, if you high roll with Jabberwock, you're in a great place, especially if you hit Genesis Dragon in those late turns. But I don't think it's. I still don't think it's reliable enough for now, so it is gonna go into Rogue. All right. Next is, let's see. This one is mid range Abyss. this is the image I chose for mid-range Abyss. So Abyss is probably one of the big winners on this set because it got so much support into whatever strategy you want to go for. Again, Abyss is the other craft that can consistently make use of Israfil by in Abyss case you want to mill it from any cards, any of your mill cards, and then play it from the cemetery with Death's Breath on turn 7 or something. So you can also evo it for 1. My problem with mid-range Abyss is you're trying to incorporate two ends of the Abyss strategy into one. I think investing into one or the other is probably the better move. So that way you're not having like a broken identity crisis where you're trying to do a little bit too much. So I am gonna place mid-range Abyss in Rogue, just because you're better off investing into either just pure aggro or pure Abyss, whichever way you want to go. Next is King Elephant, Elephant Forest. This is immediate tier 1. If you read the card, you know this is going to be a tier 1 just because how broken this card is. So for those who don't know, it is a 6-cost follower with Storm. On Fanfare, bounce however many cards you want from your field back to the hand, and this card gains attack equal to the number of cards in your hand. So let's say you have 7 cards in hand by the time you finish bouncing cards back to your hand for its Fanfare effect. It's gonna get +7 attack, +7 life, and it has Storm. And this is on turn 6. So you're gonna be swinging for 8 on turn 6. And hopefully your opponent has the out, or they're gonna be taking a lot of damage / possibly die on 6. And if they don't die on 6, you can evo this card to buff it again for the same amount of however many cards you have in your hand. So if you have 7 again, this becomes a 15/15 body on your field on turn 7. Or if you don't need to swing over your opponent to kill them on turn 7, you still have Silverbolt and just finish the game from there. So, and that's just King Elephant by himself. This strategy also has cards like Sukuna to also get your opponent's life down, because it's another Storm follower that also gets buffed on combo 3 for +1/+1 and +3/+3 on combo 5. And Spring Green is stupid good for increasing your combo count for cheap. So yeah, King Elephant tier 1. Next is Giant Chimera Rune. Again, as I mentioned in D-Shift earlier, it did, Spell Chain did get a lot of support in this set, and I think for this set, Giant Chimera is going to be the poster child for Spell Chain Rune decks. However, this set doesn't introduce enough cards to really put Spell Chain above, hit the tier 1, tier 1.5 status. I do still think this deck is gonna be good going into this set. If you're not paying attention or not putting enough respect on this deck, it can definitely take some games, but it's still a bit of an uphill battle. So I am gonna place Chimera Rune on 2. Could also go 1.5, but for now I'm gonna say it's tier 2. Next is PDK Dragon. This is a new strategy for Dragon to consider. This is more low to the ground focused type of strategy because PDK's effect is whenever a 3 play point or less Dragoncraft follower is played onto your field, you can do 2 damage to an opponent's follower and 1 damage to its leader, and it's not once per turn. So if you can manage to keep dropping those 3 play points or less followers onto your field while PDK is out, so you can keep keep burning them for the followers for 2 and the leader for 1. And Dragon being Dragon still has access to some stupid broken cards like Forte, Shenlong. Okay, maybe not play Shenlong on this deck, but the point is, Dragon doesn't matter what variant you play, has access to all the stupid broken cards that Dragon has access to, including the neutrals. However, with that being said, I think this is strategy is still in its early stages for now. Not having enough support to really push it over the edge. So for now, it is gonna go into Rogue. However, I do see this deck getting better with later support from later sets. Next is Control Abyss. I am going to say that I hate going against this deck as a Dragon player because Azazel is the bane of my existence. I hate that card so much. Now, I hate going against Azazel and just seeing my life get cut down to 10 on top of being forced to mill 1. It's so demoralizing. But that's what makes Azazel good. And with the cards getting the cards on this set, like Demon Lord Ichtar, to give Abyss another win condition. It's just tier 1.5. I almost considered putting Control Abyss at tier 1. However, I don't think it's quite a tier 1 strategy. It is stupid strong. It's just that some other decks on here could out aggro it. But if the deck gets going and if you hit them with an Azazel on turn 7, it hurts. All I'm gonna say is it hurts. And the deck still also has access to Dark Alice, so if you can pull off the Dark Alice Azazel OTK, you're gonna make your opponent cry. I mean, I damn near cried. I'm gonna say that I damn near cried when I got hit by that combo because I got hit by that combo after I had just played Shenlong on 7, heal 5, and then I see Azazel just cut my life down to 10, and Control Abyss 1.5. Next is Beauty and the Beast. So this was a deck that I placed on tier 1 last tier list because I thought this deck was gonna be like insane, but after seeing results from BSF, so at least the top decks that we saw, wasn't as good as I was giving it credit for. It is a good strategy, don't get that twisted, but the problem with B&B Forest is you have to see your Fable cards off of Alice and Woodland Band, and also if you don't see B&B or any of your other good Fable cards, the strategy kind of falls apart, and then you're just playing mid-range forest without Silverbolt. There's still some good cards in there like Lilac and Rose, Princess Rose, whatever. The two cost. But yeah, you still have those good cards, but the strategy falls apart if you don't see your key Fable cards at certain times. So I am gonna place BNB Forest in tier 2. Next is Storm / Ward Haven, or Aggro Haven. I did not put enough respect on this deck on set 3, and I saw myself get bodied by it, and ever since then I'm like, okay, I see Aggro Haven, like, okay, I have to put some respect on it and play accordingly. Because if you're not paying attention, you can you can easily get out aggroed by this deck. And Diamond Master on turn 6 going second, turn 7 going first is probably enough to close out the game if they've already smacked you around enough times leading up to Diamond Master. However, if the deck doesn't get going and they're not able to smack their opponent around with their Storm followers early on and stack, like rack up those damage to them, it could go downhill from there. And especially with some of the decks here, it may or may not work out as well. So I am going to put Aggro Haven into tier 2. Could definitely make a case for 1.5, but I feel tier 2 is more appropriate. Next is Discard Dragon. This is the deck that I was on last format, and I still think Discard Dragon is a strong deck going into this set. However, I will say that you definitely feel this deck being power crapped on in this set because of other cards getting a whole bunch of support while this deck barely gets any. And even that, it's not really direct support with the exception of Dragonute Fist, which is a discard fodder for this deck. So yeah, I mean, it's if the deck gets going, you can still high roll with like your Dracomancer's Rites, Forte, and Oguri Cap, and we still have access to Shenlong for for healing and also doing 2 damage to your opponent's life with the Rites. You definitely do feel the power creep on this deck, so I'm kind of torn between tier 2 and tier 1.5 because the deck is still strong and you can still high roll with it, but again, some of these other decks will probably do better. I'm gonna put Discard Dragon in tier 2 for now. Could maybe 1.5. I'll place this card in tier 2. Yeah, we'll stick with tier 2 for now. Next is Ramp / Heal Dragon. So Ramp Dragon did get some amazing support in this set, like Dragon Egg. But the main ones are Sybil, which lets you not only ramp up your max play points when you're in overflow, but once you're in overflow, you heal for 2 instead of just 1, and it's a 3 play point card. So on turn 7, you can drop Sybil and put yourself in 9 play points the next turn. So you can play Israfil, Genesis Dragon, Hishi Akebono if you play it on the deck. Yeah, and there's a lot of healing. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of healing on this deck. And in some cases, you can even out heal Haven, and get yourself out of range for Egg Haven to kill you, which is gonna be the next deck we're gonna go over. The problem with Ramp Heal Dragon is it could get out aggroed by the aggro decks on this list. So that's something you have to keep in mind when playing this deck. But I do believe this deck is tier 1.5. Next is Egg Haven, instant tier 1. And the crazy part is it's not getting a lot of direct support, but the one direct support that it is getting is so good, and that by itself makes Egg Haven tier 1. And the card I'm talking about is Andromeda. So what Andromeda does is, on Fanfare, you basically make yourself immune to taking effect damage on the same turn you play her. So with that being said, theoretically you can turn for Andromeda, drop Humpty Dumpty Evo, do 5 damage to normally what would be the entire board. Now will only affect your opponent. So they do 5 to their board and 3 to their leader. So it basically, Andromeda essentially makes Humpty Dumpty go from a dark hole to a Raigeki. For the Yu-Gi-Oh players, you know what I'm talking about. Point is, Andromeda makes Humpty Dumpty Evo not feel as like a double-edged sword. Now, you do still have to discard your entire hand for Humpty Dumpty Evo, but that literally doesn't matter because you get to keep your board. And if you have your EX area stacked with Alice and you have March Hare Tea Time on board, you can just keep recurring your cards. So yeah, Egg Haven, easily tier 1. I will say, I wouldn't say Egg Haven is like the best deck in the format. Better than Elephant Forest, but these two will probably be the top decks to watch for on this format. Next is gonna be Midrange Sword. So Midrange Sword did get some new cards into this set. We also getting Arthurian cards like Gawain and Tristan, and the one play point spell. However, that's such a small package. For now, it could go into mid-range sword, but later on, if enough support cards are released for it, could be its own archetype. But for now, I am gonna lump it into mid-range sword. Leonidas is still a 7-turn bomb that your opponent has to respect. And then you still have access to all the others good like swordcraft cards in the deck. However, it is slow compared to Hero Sword, which we'll go over later. So for now, so I am going to put mid-range sword in tier 2. Next is Earthrite. I'm just gonna put that in Rogue here. Earthrite is still not in a good position. Yes, they did get some interesting new cards like Starseer Scope, like free Earthrite card. But yeah, a lot of their cards is just not enough to really make a difference for it to even move anywhere past Rogue. And also because Spellchain is just arguably the better variant for Rune right now. But that being said, because of what we know from how Japan is doing right now, Rite is tier 1 in Japan. So once we catch up to Japan, Rite players rise up. Next is Aggro Abyss. So this is the other other Abyss deck that I was talking about earlier. It got cards like Howling Demon, which does a lot of damage if you have Sanguine active, and on Evo has Storm, and I believe like 6 or 7 something. It's a big Evo. It only thing is it does cost a lot to Evo, but literally doesn't matter because it's a big follower that has Storm, and if Sanguine is active, can heal 5, and of course Abyss also has access to every insane Abyss cards. Abyss cards that Abyss has access to, like each tar can also make use of Israfil on this deck. Though probably not to the same extent as Control Abyss, because I don't believe Aggro Abyss will be playing Death's Breath, if at all, but they do still have access to those insane Abyss cards. So I'm going to place Aggro Abyss in tier 2 because I do want to make that distinction between Control Abyss and Aggro Abyss, like which deck is better. I do think Control Abyss is better than Aggro Abyss, though Aggro Abyss is also really good because it can out aggro a lot of decks on this list. So yeah, I'm actually after thinking about it, I am gonna bump Discard Dragon up to 1.5 because it's while it didn't get a lot of support, or not a whole lot yet, even if it didn't get a whole lot of support, whether it's direct or indirect, it's Dragon has still have access to insanely broken cards in Dragon's arsenal. Still have Forte, still have Shenlong, still have Oguri Cap, still have Riko Kashimoto, possibly Lucifer as well if you're playing it in the deck, which did see play in BSF. Let's see, I believe Houston. It saw play in BSF, and it's in like the top 3 decks that top 3 Dragon decks that were played in those BSFs. So Discard Dragon will still be good going into the set. Next is Uma. So Uma is in an interesting position this set because the way Uma is performing is dependent on the decks that are prevalent in EN and the way EN plays the game. Because JP plays JP plays they're a bit more mid-rangey type of strategies, more deliberate with their plays, whereas in EN, at the very least in North America for sure, we play more aggressively on this side of the water. So that's why Uma is still seeing success in set 3, and especially in the recent not the most recent BSFs, but fairly recent BSF. I believe it was I know Melbourne for sure. No, Vancouver. Yeah, Vancouver. The Smart Falcon variant of Uma is slowly on the rise. Shout out to who was it? Dean or no? It was Dean. Yeah, it was Dean that played in BSF Vancouver, got third with it, and somebody played took the list, adjusted it to their liking, and played it in BSF Melbourne and got first with it. So Uma is in a very good in an interesting and really good position going into this set. So Uma is going to be tier 1.5. It is going to struggle a bit against the tier 1 decks on this list. However, because because BSF is like a 3-team format, Uma will see a lot of representation, and we'll see some success with it. Last and certainly not least, Hero Sword. So Hero Sword didn't get a whole lot of direct. Actually, didn't get any direct support this set. However, the way the deck is built, and also the way EN players like to play the game, this is gonna be a really strong aggro deck going into this set, and it also plays a bit more low to the ground compared to the other, not just aggro decks, but just decks in general. Any specific cards that come to mind is Mars. So Mars kind of solves a problem that Hero Sword has, which is consistently seeing Mock Knight and let me rephrase that. Mars allows you to play Mock Knight directly from the deck into the field to give it Storm, because Mock Knight effect to give it Storm is you have to play it from anywhere besides your hand, and Mars just lets you directly do that as early as turn 4, provided Mars survives on turn 3. Otherwise, you're probably gonna see it on like turn 6 at the earliest, because it does require 3 play points to play Mars, and another 3 play points on Evolve to bring out Mock Knight from your deck to the field to give it Storm and have it swing for 4. Because Mars also buffs officer followers that are put onto the field while it's out. And Mock Knight happens to be an officer. So, Hero Sword also plays a bunch of officer followers, like let's see, Swordsman, Percy. I think no, Perseus is a commander. Oh yeah. Oh, almost forgot about Perseus. So Perseus is another card that Hero Sword will be playing, because it gains +1/+1 if there's at least 4 followers on the field, including itself. And you can easily get there by either hitting the Valiant Fencer combo, or even just playing Floral Fencer on 4 if you're going second. So you can definitely consistently go wide with this strategy, especially with how low to the ground the followers are on this list. So yeah, so I'm gonna place Hero Sword in tier 1. Some people have it on 1.5, even tier 2. Now, I still believe Hero Sword is gonna be tier 1 into this set, just because of how explosive the deck is, and we saw that in the last format. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. Please let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with my tier list. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share the videos with your friends, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.